am today. And I am not going to say that it's too late for my son, but how I've got involved in the advocacy route is I don't ever want my child to feel the shame that I have as a parent in having to advocate for his support, and I don't ever want my grandchildren to experience what my son has. Thank you.
Rita Zanetto. And we'll have one more after Rita.
A little emotional after the last one. So I think I'm going to talk from the top of my head. Again, experience is very similar in many different ways. At a very young age with the Toronto District School Board, the chief psychologist over the phone told me, "Your son does not have a reading disorder." At that time, that was in grade 6, and I was fighting to get him into the provincial demonstration school. I became a very strong advocate. My kids will tell you they have driven across the province to any and every free program available in the province of Ontario. I think they hate me to this day for it. They don't want to hear about any research programs, any pilot programs. That's it. Mental health, again, somebody said the root issue here is illiteracy. I come from immigrant parents. Question is, how can somebody born in Canada not know how to read? Question mark. How is that possible? This is not a mental health issue. Mental health arises when you feel anxious, when you feel stupid, when you have to duck and hide at the back of the classroom. Teacher, don't look at me. I'm not going to sit with that group of kids, because what am I going to say? I don't know the answer. I'm looking at the sheet. Fill in the blank. What does it say? Somebody help me. Rescue, rescue. Technology, they're like flying saucers. Flip them out. Does anybody know how to use them appropriately? No. Fill in the blank sheets are still coming home, even though there's assistive technology. I'm going to divert back to the school psychologist. I had to go privately. Luckily, I was told we don't have a reading disorder. Actually, we're, I don't know, developmentally delayed, mildly intellectually delayed, lowest of the lowest. You're never going to be able to do anything. Through hardship, I found somebody else. I said, mother's instinct, this is not right. I went to another mental health agency that deals with children and learning disabilities, Integra. They didn't assist me in any advocacy. So now it becomes a political issue. One psychologist can't say anything negative about another psychologist. What happens to my child? Found another psychologist. We eventually were able to get into the Trillium Demonstration School. The school saved my son's life. He exited a brand new human being, obtained his self-worth, Empower reading program, evidence-based structured learning, excelled a number of reading levels. I don't know what the level was. Anyway, he was able to read signs, read books, read recipes, read instructions. He fixes appliances. He can read to me. He tells me what to do. He's my guide in many ways, only because of the Empower program and that provincial demonstration school, which the province at one point under Kathleen Wynne wanted to close and shut down, and we had to fight in order to keep it up going. I have another young person that went to that school. Again, went in demoralized, underconfident. The school, TDSB, no, well, she really knows how to read. Well, I'm thinking, no, she really doesn't. There's these huge gaps going on. The kid's really anxious. We're going to be off to a psychiatric floor. There's dyslexia. There are some things that are missing.
I'm just checking in.
We went to the school. She graduated from the school. She is very determined, a very hard worker, very motivated. I don't know, she's a girl, whatever you want to say. She's applying. Yesterday, she applied to university. This was a kid that was, you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And our last is Martha Kovac.
Hi. My son is going to be 29 in a couple of weeks, and I went through everything that everybody talked about today, so I won't go over that. But in my first year of teaching in 1990, I entered grade 2 very, very excited, but within a couple of weeks realized that 5 out of 20 of my kids still didn't have a grasp of their alphabet in grade 2. And when I asked about this or looked around or went from teacher to teacher, I was just nuts for thinking that there could be anything done about it. And I spent the rest of my career trying to figure that out. And I did. I figured it out. But it took 30 years. 30 years I have been listening to all of these stories. Today I get phone calls from parents just like everybody here with the exact same story, with parents crying on the phone, nowhere to go. I can't help them because I can only tutor so many children. And I teach college language arts so that I can hopefully help prevent some of this. But I have so many parents calling me, and I would say maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And there's nowhere to send them. I send them to my tutors that I know are in Barrie. I'm from Barrie. But in 1990, a couple years in the early 90s, I was working for the Simcoe Muskoka Catholic District School Board, and I ended up working for a wonderful principal who had given us the choice to use a systematic and explicit phonics program. It was outstanding. It blew me away. I thought, okay, this is the missing piece, great. And at the school I taught at, which had a lot of poverty in the neighborhood, 80% of the students were reading at grade level by the end of grade 1 using this program. It was so successful, we had people coming nationally to ask about it and see about it and talk about it, and not just that program, but the whole school. I left on maternity leave, and when I came back, that principal had been removed from that school, sent to a very small 2-room rural school, and the whole program was dismantled. Books were gone, it wasn't being used, it sort of got fizzled and phased out. Anytime I tried to talk about it, I would say the big word here is intimidation. As a teacher, I felt completely intimidated to say anything, suggest anything, do the systematic and explicit phonics. I was hired by the Simcoe District School Board, not the Catholic, the other one, to do phonemic awareness training in 2000 or 99 or something, and that was great, 22 workshops, and I thought, yay, here we go. But as soon as I started mentioning phonics, let alone systematic and explicit phonics, I never heard from anybody again. Then the National Reading Panel came out, and I thought, yay, this is going to be great, and nothing. Everything was, it's like the philosophy rules in reading instruction. It's all based on philosophy. And then the National Early Literacy Panel came out in 2008. Okay, here we go, code-based interventions work. No, nothing changed then. I just can only take on so many students. And the tutors that are working in Barrie can only take so many students. It's extremely aggravating when parents don't have the money. It's unfair, it's inequitable. I'm doing everything I can, and I just hope that this inquiry does more or is able to do something. That's all.
Thank you. And once again, thank you to each of our speakers, our open mic, our presenters. Thank you to each of you who are here. I'm going to call upon the Chief Commissioner to give some closing remarks. As she comes, just a reminder that we do have a survey. We encourage you to complete our survey. You can find it on our website, www.ohrc.on.ca. That would be really helpful to us. If you have not already done so, we will encourage you to complete our survey. Chief.
Okay, I don't want to be forcibly removed from the room, so I won't take too much of our time. I think we've all had a collective experience together, and I think what's been really impactful is how many of the same stories and experiences have been shared across geography, across decades, across time, across families. And I think it really speaks to the systemic nature of these challenges, and I think it's why we launched this inquiry. And what I'll say to you just personally is every time, you know, when you're in my role, you often are floating at kind of 100 feet, and you sort of dive down every so often to remember what you're working on. And this file is so meaningful to me because of all the children that are so negatively impacted by our failure to figure out this issue. And it really baffles my mind that there are so many effective strategies that many of the educators have talked about that we have failed to implement. And my hope through the inquiry is that we can show what is possible when we actually accommodate children with reading disabilities. But I think more importantly, a real theme was when we actually value each child as capable and as having dignity and as worth the investment from our society. And I hope that that's something our inquiry will really shed light on. So thank you for participating. Thank you. It's been a difficult evening, but I hope that there's some solidarity and support from hearing that there are so many shared experiences, and I hope our report will capture that. Thank you.